Welcome everyone to Sister Wives with Mary Jane K. Today, I'll be giving my commentary on Seeking Sister Wife, Season 5, Episode 3, Seeking Something Real. The episode opens with the Merrifields. Natalia and her mom were finally able to get to Mexico. And Garrick feels it's because a miracle happened, a miracle from God. He claims that an IT guy bumped Natalia up to number 1 out of 500 people, and miraculously, the seas parted, Natalia got her visa, and she was able to come with her mom, all because of that IT guy who just pushed her up the list. I'll tell you what, Natalia is a genius compared to Garrick and Danielle. She got more money out of Garrick to pay the IT guy, this figment of imagination who put her at the top of the visa list so she could get there in an emergency. And Garrick and Danielle really don't realize how stupid they really are, even after producers already explained to them that it was all bullshit and that the site worked fine. Garrick and Danielle are sitting there on their knees thanking the heavens that Natalia made it, instead of realizing just how manipulative and opportunistic Natalia actually is. And to be fair, Garrick and Danielle are the perfect marks for a con job. Garrick and Danielle meet Natalia and her mom in the lobby, and they are gross right off the bat. The second Garrick sees Natalia, he starts petting her arm, rubbing her, stroking her hair, rubbing her arm, just like she's a pet, like he can't get off her, and it's fucking disgusting. The way he's like touching her and staring at her with his creepy serial killer eyes, I mean, I would be running the other direction if I were her. We learned that Natalia is 25 and she saw Garrick on social media. He messaged her the next day and he asked her if it was okay to follow her. And Danielle also has been messaging Natalia through social media as well. And then the three of them quickly established a relationship. And Natalia decided her mom must come on this trip, and she brought her mom because she really wanted to feel safe and she wanted to know that she had family there being supportive of her and protecting her. I think Natalia is a very smart girl. Danielle thinks, of course, that Natalia is beautiful, and she describes Natalia as skaterish, like she's a skater chick. She doesn't look like a skater girl, but if that's what they want to call it, whatever. Now, Garrick says Danielle was a farmer girl and Natalia is a skater girl. Like, he's excited. He's getting all the different flavors of the rainbow. Listen, the Merrifields are weird, Garrick especially. They rented a villa for everyone to be there, and Garrick is salivating for that steak. He is just chomping at the bit. It's been a long time coming for Garrick, and he is really excited to see Natalia, to say the least. Now, Garrick says Natalia is all dressed up. She looks gorgeous, and it makes him happy looking at her to think, this is my wife. Look at how she gets dressed up. And he wants to marry her, and he is very excited to see her looking so good today. He is just thinking with that little brain. Big brain is just shut off. He can't wait to get it in because she's looking so good. Natalia is going to be sharing a room with her mom. That is the smartest thing she could do. And Danielle warns Garrick especially that there isn't going to be any funny business. And Garrick says there won't be any hanky-panky. He won't make the same mistake like he did with Roberta. Unless, of course, there is a proposal, unless there is a commitment for life. And then, of course, it's a go, green light all the way. Garrick is so fucking creepy. His face is annoying. His voice, his eyes, everything about this man screams, run, girl, run, 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 run as fast as you can away from this man. Danielle says she has so many emotions about Natalia. She's stoked for the future, but the reality is, unfortunately, they've been screwed over before by Roberta, and that stays with Danielle, and she ruminates on it. So Natalia also is worried about how her relationship will go with Garrick and Danielle. And she has a lot of fear because she knows it's one thing to chat long distance, but meeting a person in person, that's something much more serious. The dynamic can be different. And she feels they don't know what the connection will be like in real life. Polygamy is also new to her. She has never been in a polygamist relationship before. It's not something she ever considered. But she feels the way Garrick and Danielle and the boys treat her, they're always really loving, they're respectful of her, they're receptive of her. So now Natalia is really considering polygamy. She's really considering the Merrifields as a serious possibility. Garrick is looking to hear from Natalia that she's very committed to him, that she's committed to Danielle, that she's committed to the boys, that she is committed to being his wife for life. And he says once they get that straightened out, they can move forward and they can trust each other's sincerity about the situation. Next up are the Davises. Danielle has moved out into her own apartment, and although it was short-lived, she eventually does move back in, but for now, she moved out of her own apartment. And she has agreed to talk to producers, but she's not ready to talk to the Davises yet. We learned that Danielle moved out because she wanted to take some time, she wanted to take some space to figure out what she wanted to do. And Danielle really feels if the Davises are now ready to move forward, if they're eager to move forward with someone else and with dating, she really isn't ready to do that right now. So she feels it would be really selfish of her to stick around and slow them down if that's what they want. So Danielle really wants to take time for herself, and she really wants to figure out if this life is for her. Danielle says she loves her family. She loves her sister wives. She loves Nick. She loves the kids. She loves everyone in this family. But she wonders if she's really okay with everything that comes with it. She's really not into wanting to start dating and expanding the family, and they're really eager to do that. So Danielle decided that it would be really best for her to get her own space, to get her own apartment while she is making these decisions, because she doesn't want to disrupt the flow of the household, and she doesn't think that that's fair to the family. So the producer asks Danielle if she said goodbye to baby Vera. And Danielle starts crying. She recalls how the night before she got Vera in her PJs all ready for bed, and she told Vera she loved her so much. She didn't say goodbye, though. She says, to be fair, she would rather leave while Vera is still young and not fully understanding what's going on. So Danielle never told Vera, bye, I'll never see you again. But she knew as much when she tucked her in that night. And she loves Vera a lot. She wants to be there for her, but she knows she can't be here for the family. And she can't be there and not invest fully to be there. So Danielle thinks a lot of people really stick around in marriages, they stick around in relationships just because they're comfortable with it, just because that's what they're used to. And Danielle feels she's young right now, and she really doesn't want to find herself down the road thinking, man, I wish I would have left sooner. I wish I would have done this sooner. Danielle really feels life is too short, and she doesn't think anyone should be where they don't feel is the right place for them in the moment that they're in this moment now. So Danielle isn't so sure, and she really had to take a step back and think about things. She thinks about what's best for the kids, what's best for the sister wives and for the family, and also what's best for herself. And it's really interesting. Danielle seems to really understand everyone else's feelings and have a lot of empathy and really care for them, but I don't feel that back from April, Jennifer, and Nick. She's not ready to be dating, and they're eager to go 100 miles an hour, pedal to the metal, let's go, let's fucking do this thing. Let's bring on wife after wife after wife after wife, like it's a factory or a cult or something. And Danielle doesn't seem ready for that. She wants to get adjusted to polygamy, to get adjusted to being a mom, to get adjusted to being a sister wife, to get adjusted to even being married, let alone just being married. So she just wants this time, and they want to rush her, and no one really seems too concerned about Danielle, her age, her feelings, where she's at mentally. It seems to more be about everyone else. And that's my concern, because Danielle seems to care about everyone else. They don't seem to really give that much of a fuck about her. I wish Danielle kept her separate apartment. I think that was the best move for her, and everything she's thinking and feeling and her intuition and her gut, it's telling her she needs space. It's telling her she is not right. This is not right. There's something not right about this. I'm not ready to start dating. All these people are trying to push me to do this thing that I'm not ready for. And she knows that it's not right. She went and got a separate apartment. You don't do that unless you have an intuition and a strong conviction. And I think they sucked her back in, and she got sucked back in with her heart and her emotions and the way she feels about these people. So I think that there's an issue there, and I wish she would stick with her gut. Danielle says she really didn't want to say goodbye to Jennifer or April. She really wanted to avoid goodbyes. She didn't want to go through the whole breakup thing. She didn't want to do it. And Danielle says if she can't perform this big aspect of their lives as a family, the dating and finding another significant other, then it's selfish of her to say, oh, well, let's just not do that when everyone else in the family wants to do that and she doesn't want to hold them back from that. So Danielle really wants to take time to think about if she can really handle dating. The producer gets Danielle to agree to sitting down and having a conversation with Nick, Jennifer, and April. And Danielle says it's difficult because she still doesn't have her head fully wrapped around all of the emotions she's feeling. Next up are the Ryans, Becky and Justin. Becky and Justin grew up together. Becky was a few years younger than Justin, and she always had a thing for him growing up. She was always trying to ask Justin out, even since their early teens. He always told her no, no thanks, but Becky was relentless. They eventually got married. Justin was 19 and Becky was 16. And Becky didn't think it was unusual to get married that young. Becky felt getting married in high school, it was normal because where she lived, they really weren't the first teens at their high school to get married. And Becky reveals that their church that she grew up in believed in polygamy as an option. And Becky's dad was actually the pastor of that church, and he studied the Bible a lot. He had other wives himself, and he found all of the scriptures that prove that polygamy is okay to do in his mind. Now, Becky feels growing up in a polygamous household was never a negative experience for her. She sometimes maybe felt like her dad didn't have as much time for her now with the other wives and kids, but she also says in a polygamous family, she had more people to talk to, and her mom was a loner, so her mom didn't have the great bonding experience with her sister wives, but Becky really wants that. And Becky knows she will have that closer bonding experience with whoever her sister wife is. Becky and Justin currently have 6 kids and 4 kids still live at home. And Becky always wished for sister wives, especially when her kids were younger. So Becky really just wants to keep their eyes open, their options open. She's very interested in pursuing this. And Justin has been interested in polygamy because he believes polygamy is more than just extra sex partners. He considers it a sister wife as a family ally. And he says it makes them stronger as a family in all ways. Plus, come on, he really wants to get some strange. Let's remember Justin saying that it's not about sex, because from what we saw in a promo, which TLC can do you dirty on the promos, but they did show and make it suggest as if he went too far with one of the women he was dating. So he went right there actually on the first night. But that's only what we saw from the promo clip from one of the last episodes. So we don't know, but he's saying it's not about sex. I think it is. I don't know. But Justin says his best outcome would be for Stephanie, a potential sister wife they were dating, to come back and be firm in her decision to stay. But he says Stephanie was scared. She had a lot of anxiety. She was a potential sister wife, and they had dated her for close to 9 months. But she lives in a different part of the country, and she decided at first she really wanted to do this. She wanted to be their wife. She told Becky that she was committed for forever. But then she goes through phases where she gets anxiety and she pulls back and she isn't sure if she can do it. And she isn't sure what her family will say. Stephanie worries about what other people will think about her. And Justin makes it clear that polygamy isn't accepted and there's a lot of stigma around it because it isn't a box that society approves of. Now, Stephanie is in a phase where she's ghosting them again. So they haven't heard from her in over a month now. Justin has no clue if it's the end of Stephanie in their lives or not. He loves Stephanie the way he loves Becky, and both Becky and Justin feel Stephanie was perfect for them. And Justin feels they are really looking for somebody that is Stephanie. So he wants a clone of Stephanie who isn't ruled by fear and anxiety. And he says they can't wait around for the rest of their lives in the hopes that Stephanie decides on them and being with them. So they're going to keep seeking, even though, again, they really want Stephanie with just a few minor tweaks. Becky and Justin are going to go out and they're going to try and meet people. Since they've been together since they were teens, they know that it's going to be awkward dating, especially when they've been married and they've been together monogamously for a quarter of a century. So Justin and Becky have never gone out just to date or just for the purpose of meeting somebody organically. They typically tried meeting people through dating apps and dating sites. None of it worked out so far. So now they're going to go out in person to try and pick up a girl for the first time ever. Becky describes dating as new territory, and Justin is intimidated, but he feels dating can be a fine line to walk. Justin describes Becky as the opposite of him. He says she's tenacious. When she wants something, she goes for it. And we see that in just a little bit. Becky is convincing her husband, who's really shy and socially awkward, to approach a woman sitting near them at the bar. And he makes an excuse to go to his car and grab some business cards. Is this 1990? Seriously, business cards? Justin says it's super intimidating to just go out and then drop the bomb to single ladies that he is married to Becky and that they're looking to be in a polygamous relationship. And Becky feels anything could happen. They could meet somebody down. They could meet somebody very open to them and to polygamy. You just never know. So while Justin is fucking around in his car, Becky approaches the woman herself on her own, and she asks the woman if she's single and if she would also be interested in dating her husband. And it's awkward as fuck. Wow. Next up are the Sherwoods, Ashley and Shane. Shane's good friend Rachel is coming over while Ashley takes their son to swimming lessons. And we learn that Rachel and Shane met at a competitive beer pong tournament. And Shane is going to talk to his friend Rachel as a sounding board about Ashley and Grace and see what her opinion is on the situation. Rachel knows about the Sherwoods' lifestyle, that they're pursuing polygamy, and she doesn't know any other polygamists, but she says the Sherwoods are really open about it. Now, Rachel wondered how polygamy would work for Shane and Ashley. She knows Ashley is going on dates, she's trying to find someone, and she wonders how Shane will start to integrate that person into both of their lives when Ashley finally finds someone. And Shane says Ashley will have the romantic physical relationship with the sister wife. He and Ashley will still have their romantic and physical relationship, but his relationship with the sister wife would just be platonic. So I want to clarify, because initially I got it wrong. And I did say I was under the impression that both Ashley and Shane would be having a physical and romantic relationship with the sister wife. And that was incorrect. So Ashley will be the only one in the marriage having the physical and romantic relationship with the sister wife and with Shane. And Shane's relationship with the sister wife would be strictly platonic. I still think this is going to end up in a huge clusterfuck. Rachel has a lot of good questions, and Rachel wants to know what happens if Ashley and the sister wife get in a fight, if they argue. What would Shane have to do? Would he also be in the fight with them? Since Ashley is his wife, she wonders what the dynamics would be. And Shane says he wouldn't be getting involved. He'd be upstairs playing his video games. Next, Shane tells Rachel about Grace, that Grace was their hair and makeup lady from the wedding, and Ashley went on 5 or 6 dates with her. And Shane explains that Grace didn't want to meet him. She really was more interested in just establishing something with Ashley. And right away, of course, Rachel notices the red flag in that. And then Shane reveals that he met Grace finally, and it really didn't go so well. He goes on to say that Grace is focusing her career on a coaching business, like life coaching, and Grace basically believes that through a higher power, she will be able to help people better their lives. And Shane mentions how Grace asked if he ever went to therapy. He said no. Grace was disrespectful and condescending, and she told him it shows that he's never been to therapy. Now, Rachel feels that Grace was getting defensive at Shane's questions, and Shane says it was because he was just trying to get to know her. And Rachel feels if that's how the thing started, it's really not a good indicator of the relationship in the future if it were to continue. If Grace already doesn't have that respect established for Shane, because Shane, of course, is Ashley's husband. He's the father of her kids. He's a very important person, the most important person in Ashley's life. Now, Rachel feels Shane is 50% of the relationship. So for the potential sister wife to not want to meet Shane is very concerning to Grace. And then you add on the blatant disrespect when Grace meets him for the first time, and Rachel sees that as a huge red flag. And for Shane, the biggest issue with Grace was also the lack of respect. That was a huge red flag. Now, Rachel feels Grace disrespected Shane big time when he explains the story. And she feels Shane should be treated, of course, with the level of respect that he deserves as Ashley's husband. Shane explains to Rachel that he told Ashley about his concerns, about his reservations regarding Grace, that it's a no for him, but ultimately it's her choice, and he doesn't know what Ashley is going to do about this. But Shane feels discussing Grace, hearing it all come out of his mouth again, he felt, holy crap, it's red flags on red flags. And it really boggles his mind as to why Ashley has been dating Grace for so long, because she's been so conflicted over it. And he really doesn't get why after meeting Grace. Shane doesn't get why Ashley hasn't ended things with Grace even before them ever getting to meet, since Grace was so opposed to meeting him. So Ashley hasn't talked to Grace still after that date. Ashley really wanted to think it over. She wanted to take the night to think about it before having any communication with Grace. So Rachel wonders how Shane is going to navigate this if Ashley wants to pursue Grace and he doesn't want to pursue it. And Shane feels if Grace is disrespectful, being standoffish, taking a tone with him, he would definitely have to tell Ash this isn't working for him, it's a no. And he knows that Ashley really likes Grace, but he knows it's a no for him. So Rachel wonders what happens if Ashley feels Grace is a yes and he feels it's a no. She wonders if Shane will have to put his feelings about Grace on the back burner for Ashley. And Shane says if Ashley wanted to continue on with Grace after he expressed that it's a clear no, he would feel like, what the hell? He wouldn't believe it. Now, back to the Merrifields, they're all going swimming in the jungle together. And Garrick is mesmerized, just tantalized by watching Natalia shower because they have to shower before getting into this jungle river or whatever. And he's talking about how he really wants Natalia to be his wife and he wants to have kids. And he also wants to see how it goes, and this is an afterthought to him, how it will go with the dynamic with his sons he has now and with Danielle, his current wife. And he wants to see everybody interacting. He wants to see the dynamic of how everybody fits with each other because he knows, he is sure, watching Natalia in that shower, that he is gonna propose soon. Garrick's little brain can't wait. Natalia says she thinks Garrick is handsome, with beautiful eyes. She thinks Garrick takes good care of himself, that he looks good. And Garrick told her that he works out all day, every day, just so that he can please her when he arrives in Mexico. Gross. Garrick is the kind of guy who thinks he's hot, way hotter than he is. In his own mind, he's a 10. Now, who does that remind you of with the six-pack abs and the great pecs and, oh, I'm just a piece of meat? Isn't that what Kotex said about himself? Isn't this giving you Kotex vibes? All Garrick wants is to get his dick wet already. He can't wait. He already has the custom ring made. And the second he puts it on Natalia's finger, he will feel it's holy, it's sanctified, and God says it's okay to go for it. This is Garrick's sick, twisted way of getting it in while also having a family and twisting that his God approves of this so that his wife and her family and his kids tolerate him doing what he wants and thinking with his dick. That's what this is, in my opinion. Natalia says Garrick was concerned with pleasing her, and he was also very concerned with his physique. He's very into himself. I want to know what exactly Garrick thinks looks good. Seriously. I seriously want to know. I mean, he's very concerned with his physique. What exactly is he concerned with? He's pasty as fuck. He looks thin. He has serial killer eyes. He has a creepy cult leader voice. I don't know. Natalia says she thinks Garrick is handsome, and I think that wallet is sexy as fuck to her. Ka-ching, ka-ching. Now, Natalia doesn't want to get in the water. Everyone's swimming. Garrick is swimming with Danielle and his kids, and she doesn't want to get in because there are wild bats, and she's not comfortable with that, and she is in fear of these bats. So Danielle's kind of annoyed at her because it's not going the way she planned, and Danielle tries to really coax Natalia in. Natalia isn't down, and Danielle complains that the experience isn't going as planned. She wanted family bonding time with Natalia and herself and her kids because Natalia had a hard time with getting in the water. So Danielle seems kind of annoyed, and she wants to just be able to enjoy this moment, and she says it's supposed to really be a family outing. It's not about Natalia. It's not about her fears. It's supposed to just be about everyone bonding and everyone having a good time. Danielle isn't as close to Natalia as she was with Roberta. She says with Roberta by now, she felt a sisterhood. She felt a true bond with Roberta from day one, from the moment they met. And she says that's completely missing with Natalia. Danielle feels that Natalia has a very different personality than Roberta, and she's not saying it's a negative thing, but she's really trying to make the best of it. Garrick is so into Natalia. He wants her bad. He's petting Natalia's arm. He's staring at her like she's a steak with his creepshow eyes as Natalia waits on the stairs, refusing to get in the water. Natalia explains that she knows she broke expectations. There was an expectation for her to swim with everyone, and she had told everyone she really wanted to swim there. She wanted to go visit this place. But when she got there, she was just too afraid. And Danielle was really bummed out that Natalia didn't participate. But she says she understands, though, that in life, not everyone will always be on the same page. And Natalia tells Danielle that she felt bad that she couldn't enjoy the day with them the way she would have liked to. And Garrick and Danielle assure her that they understand that it's okay. And they're trying to just say 2 or 3 words strung along here or there, really slow, really loud in English to get Natalia to get it. But you can tell it's not working. They need the translator app. So they get the translator app and they use it. And Garrick assures Natalia that they all have fears and emotions in life. And Danielle agrees. They all have different personalities. They're all blending those personalities together. And there are always going to be things that certain people won't like. Danielle is kind of trying to talk with Natalia, and I don't think Natalia is feeling it. Natalia says she's tired. She wants to go to bed. She lets Garrick know she wants to head to the bedroom. Danielle isn't happy with the way their relationship is going with Natalia. She really feels at this point in the relationship with Roberta, it felt like they had known each other their whole lives. They were besties. And Danielle really doesn't have that with Natalia, and it's frustrating her. And they've had some moments of connection, but overall, as a whole, that is one of Danielle's apprehensions with Natalia. She's wondering if she and Natalia will ever even get to that point. And Danielle knows God wants them to live plural marriage. It's part of their walk with God. But she also thinks the speed at which she and Garrick move sometimes is a huge challenge for her. So basically, Danielle knows she's screaming it from the rooftops that she isn't ready for this yet. And Garrick doesn't give a fuck. He uses God to shut her up. And he's forcing her to go along with this. And he's the kind of guy who'll say, well, if you don't want to be with me, I'll go find a wife and I'll start a life with her and I'll visit you guys once in a while. He doesn't give a fuck. He was willing to do that with Roberta if she didn't want to move to the U.S. And he was willing to ditch Danielle and his kids half the time and establish a family with her in her country. So he doesn't give a fuck. And she knows that. It's too bad that Danielle doesn't realize, know, and understand and believe that she deserves better. Danielle really needs to go with her intuition. Now, Natalia says she feels connected to Garrick. They talk daily. He's very affectionate with her in his messages. But she says in-person intimacy is also important. Face-to-face is important too. And that can be different than video chats and texting. Now, Natalia thinks how everything is going and their physical chemistry, it's a confirmation of everything between them. It's a confirmation of everything they talk about daily. To feel that in person with Garrick, Natalia's feeling it. Natalia and Garrick kiss, they say goodnight, they hug goodnight, and they're both already saying, I love you. Natalia says she thinks she is already in love with Garrick. She wants the ka-ching ka-ching. She wants the money, honey. However, with Danielle, Natalia feels they have a long path ahead of them. If they want everything to go perfectly, they have a lot to get through, and she knows that. I think Danielle is not ready to be dating at all, and she brings her baggage and her expectations from the relationship with Roberta, and she places them on Natalia, and that's also not necessarily fair. I don't think Natalia likes Danielle much, and I don't think she is that interested at all in having a sister wife. I don't think she's interested in polygamy. I think Natalia is interested in improving her life situation and her financial situation. Next up are the Sherwoods. Shane is frustrated that Ashley still hasn't made a decision about Grace yet, especially because of the way Grace so blatantly disrespected him with the way she talked down to him. For Shane, those are huge red flags, and Shane could tell that Grace just wasn't ready for this, wasn't ready for Ashley, and he struggles to see what Ashley is seeing in Grace. Ashley now feels more confident about her decision, and Ashley is done with Grace. And Shane also isn't feeling it, and Ashley understands that. She says Shane wasn't treated the best by Grace, and she didn't want to make irrational decisions, and so she thought it through, and she has decided that it's not going to be the best thing to move forward with Grace. And Shane also doesn't think that Grace aligns with what they're both looking for. Shane and Ashley both agree that they didn't like the way that conversation went. They're both done with Grace. And Ashley says Shane's viewpoints, his opinions, they matter very much to her. They're very important to her. And the fact that they are on the same page about Grace, it really reassures her that this is the right decision to move forward and ditch Grace. And Ashley herself also had reservations about her attraction to Grace as more than a friend. So on both sides, they were seeing some red flags, and they both are on the same page. It's confirmed, and they're going to move forward and ditch Grace. So Ashley and Shane now discuss how to break up with Grace. And Shane advises Grace to be clear, to give her the reasons why it wouldn't work out so that Grace isn't left in the dark. So Ashley sends an essay-length text to Grace. It's very clear. It's very sensitive about everything, but it's also very detailed. And it explains clearly why it wouldn't work out. And Ashley felt very relieved after sending the text because she wants to be done. She's felt like she's been walking on eggshells, and now with Grace gone, that weight is gone. Shane is kind of discouraged that Grace didn't work out because it was time consuming. Ashley went on a lot of dates with her, and now Ashley has to really be able to bounce back and get over the breakup. Shane is kind of worried that it's going to be really hard to find the right person who is also going to be interested in this dynamic. Back to the Ryan family, Becky and Justin. Becky approaches a woman asking if she's single, if she's interested in dating her husband. And the woman looks speechless, mouth wide open, as Becky explains that she and her hubby are polygamists. The lady thought it was ridiculous that her husband left and then the wife approached her and swooped in. And she feels polygamy is basically a step up from being a swinger. It is so cringe and so awkward watching Becky approach this girl at the bar. And Justin explains that he got back in from fucking around in his car, and Becky approached the hottest girl at the bar. And Justin knows his wife is crazy, And the bar lady explains that she was married, she got divorced, she has 2 kids now, and the thought of sharing a husband is scary to her. She says she herself doesn't judge, but she knows she would be selfish. Now, Becky says most people first think about the jealousy when they think of polygamy. But Becky says she herself as a wife doesn't get jealous. She sees a sister wife as a potential best friend. Becky knows she should probably walk away, that this girl isn't interested. But she thinks in the back of her mind, maybe this girl might be open to learning more about polygamy. So Becky lets the lady know her kids are okay. They have no problem dating someone who has kids. Now, Becky obviously can't read people worth shit. When she's explaining to the lady about not being jealous, that a sister wife to her is like a built-in best friend, the bar lady looked at Becky with pity in her eyes. Like, what the fuck? And she had this shit-eating grin on her face. Like, how stupid are you? And the people next to this girl, her friends that she came with at the bar, they're laughing at her as Becky walks away to talk to her husband. Now, Becky thinks maybe the lady will open up, maybe she'll have questions for them, and maybe she can convince her. So she walks away to get her husband's business card as everyone is laughing at her like she just shot herself. It is so fucking cringe to watch. The bar lady looks annoyed, she looks a little tipsy, and she's staring at her watch as Becky gets her husband to go introduce himself to this lady who already really made it clear she wasn't interested. The bar lady ends up agreeing to go out with them, but I feel like she just did it because she felt so cringe about the situation. I don't know that she will actually go. Now, Justin introduces himself to Desiree, even though she made it clear she's not interested, and he lets her know his wife has bigger balls than he does. Now, Desiree made it clear. Becky already asked her. She already said no. She'd be nervous. She's not into polygamy. She's not into sharing. She's selfish. She doesn't share her man. But she says she wouldn't be against learning more about the lifestyle, and she probably also liked being on TV. Desiree says Justin is dapper. I wouldn't call it that. And that Becky is sweet and ballsy. She's ballsy, I'll give her that. We learn that Desiree is a director working for an international ministry. My guess is she probably wants to convert these two into her cult and dissuade them from their wicked ways. There's awkward silence as Justin is just hovering there. No one knows what to say. And Justin, out of the blue, asks Desiree if she works out. Gross. Justin says he doesn't want to get rejected, but he thinks he vibes really well with Desiree because, he works out and she works out. He says he finds her interesting and he asks her out tomorrow. And Desiree says she is free. Brenda was shocked that Desiree said yes. Let's just see if she even shows up. And Justin admits they wanted to work out super bad. Yeah, he's already dickmatized just from the staring. His little brain just wants it to work out super bad. So Becky and Justin are really excited. They're nervous. They really wanted to work out. Next up are the Davis family. Danielle is finally over and Nick is cooking dinner for himself and Danielle and Jennifer and April. After a couple of days after moving, Danielle texted her sister wives back. They opened communication and she told them she wanted to move back in. And she moved back in late last night, but they still haven't had any time to sit and talk yet. April feels they're all still on really unstable ground. Danielle hasn't been able to fully communicate about what's wrong, and it makes April really nervous because she doesn't know what's going on in Danielle's head. Now, Danielle decided to come home because of the love she has for Nick, the love she has for her sister wives, the love she has for their children. And the one thing Danielle is certain of with their plural lifestyle is that things have been awkward. It's awkward being a polygamist, and she says rightfully so. Danielle hopes this conversation with the family ends up in a slight mutual understanding. She doesn't exactly expect hugs and kisses and sprinkles and rainbows and for all to just be magically okay. But Danielle feels the worst outcome would be if they don't understand and they all aren't on the same page after this discussion. Nick is very relieved that Danielle has decided to move back home. And he says they all love Danielle very much, and her leaving, losing her, was beyond painful for all of them. So Nick is worried going into this that Danielle might leave again. And he's also worried that Danielle is not sincere in her desire in wanting to expand their family with more sister wives. So there's a lot at stake for their family, like losing a sister wife, losing a mother for their children. And Nick feels at this time there is just so much uncertainty. All the women are awkwardly digging to china in their salad bowls, just picking away at them, using that as a distraction, sitting in an awkward silence. As Nick mentions to Danielle that he knows she has some concerns recently about the direction things are moving in for the family. Nick tells Danielle it was a pretty drastic thing. The idea that she may not have potentially wanted to be there. The idea that she even moved out. And the idea that they're still really wanting to expand the family. Nick knows that they all feel okay with what they have established right now with himself and the 3 wives. But he wonders if they're all truly and genuinely interested in expanding their family from this point forward. And Danielle is really uncomfortable, and she admits she is so overwhelmed with the different thoughts and emotions. It's all a lot for her to process, and she is struggling with the process of dating. And Danielle tells Nick she isn't at a good point with dating. She's not ready for it. She's not ready for expanding the family. So at this point, they're really pushing it. They're all enthused. They want to do this. And she gets up to take a breather as April and Jennifer look close to tears because they're not on the same page about dating. I think Danielle knows she isn't ready to start dating. She isn't ready to add more wives. So if Nick and all the other wives are still insisting and Danielle came back and they know she isn't on board and they don't care how she feels and they just want to move forward, it's best if Danielle just goes back to her apartment. It's best if she goes with her gut, if she goes with her intuition. If she gets sucked in again and she continues this charade, she will be even more unhappy and unfulfilled as the years tick away. If Danielle's feelings don't matter to these other people, if her voice is already disregarded as Nick and the other wives push enthusiastically to collect more wives like they're collecting lint, I think Danielle made the right choice to go, and she should stick with it. She should stick with her intuition. It's guiding her the right way, and she shouldn't let this clown manipulate her. Danielle says she loves Nick. If he really loved her, though, in my opinion, he wouldn't be pressuring her so much to date knowing she isn't ready for it. And if ultimately they just want different things in life, by Danielle leaving and getting her own apartment, that was the right choice. And all she is doing is delaying her opportunity to find herself and what will ultimately bring her peace, love, fulfillment, and happiness. That does it for this episode. I'll be back next week with the next episode of Seeking Sister Wife. I'll see you soon. Thanks for listening. Bye.